What I'm talking about is pure stroke mechanics. A more efficient way to hit the tennis ball to produce more racket head speed. Take the racket back as one piece. Racket head, the tip's gonna be up, but we wanna have that elbow elevated, almost like you're nudging someone. We don't want that elbow tucked in. So one piece, racket head up, elbow back. That's the preparation. You want to make sure there's some type of elevation away from the body. You want that left elbow up a little bit. You don't want that joint angle down here. You want that right elbow elevated a little bit in the angle at this position. Forearm would be parallel to the ground. Okay, that angle would be straight down. The elbow would be straight back to the fence. Once that elbow is elevated, when you go into the back loop, we want elbow extension. Elbows up, elbow extension. This stroke's really simple. It might sound complicated, but it's really this. Elbow up, elbow extension. Elbow up, elbow extension. Now, am I saying make your arm stiff? No. Am I saying try to straighten it out? Absolutely. This is the key, because most people, when they take it back, they go here, okay? And then they open this up, and the elbow comes back in. When that happens, the elbow goes much further back in the stroke. Now you get this circular movement, and it's not going to be efficient. It's not going to hit the ball consistently that you can extend through the contact point. After elbow extension, the racket goes into a position where the palm is somewhat down. The racket head is to the outside, the wrist is up. You want to get that elbow extension like you're tapping the dog on the head. Pretend there's a dog back at a diagonal. The hand would be in this position. You wouldn't take the hand and the racket and have it too much on the edge or have it open. You definitely want to be in a position where you tap the dog on the head. Now, you can say palm down, that's effective, but one of the best teaching cues that we've learned is when I tell them, after elbow extension, tap the dog, it really sinks in. Because the racket's to the outside and the racket head is above the hand, when you pull the hand and you drive the leg and the hip, the racket goes down and back on its own, and it goes very quickly. That's what we call the flip. When you pull that hand from the outside and the racket flips, it goes down on its own and it goes back on its own. It finds this position where the butt cap is towards the ball a lot quicker. There's a lot more momentum, which is going to create a lot more racket head speed. So you're going to find the slot, that dynamic slot, a lot faster when you go and tap the dog, you pull on the hand, and that finds the dynamic slot, and that's creating a lot more racket speed, and you're going to hit a heavier ball and a much bigger ball. To me in this whole thing, because that's the first thing that breaks down in the kinetic chain. If you don't have the elbow somewhat to A, and then when you go into your backswing, and here's the key, when you go back, you got to keep that elbow up. Elbow up, elbow extension. Now, after the flip, that elbow, if everything was right, that elbow is pretty much on the hitting side of the body. And what that does, that enables you to engage the shoulder more. That means more juice. You're pretty much hitting the ball in a straight line, low to high. If you want to go more topspin, you just swing more low to high, okay? And you see this. You see that extension with the best forehands in the world. Then you got options galore. If the elbow goes back, okay, or comes in, then what happens is the path of the racket's coming more circular. You can still hit a pretty good shot, but it's not going to be the true heavy ball. It's not going to be dynamic. We go into our forward swing after the racket flips. We want to make sure it's almost like you're pulling a rope here. We want the elbow, everything moving in a straight line. There's going to be more of a linear type movement that's made here. If the elbow goes back behind the body, everything's going to be a little more circular and the elbow is going to tuck in. on the finish, once this elbow passes by the trunk, you want to make sure you get some type of rolling action on your forearm here. You want to feel this. This is how you're going to induce topspin on the ball, this rolling action. You don't want to manufacture the wrist at the end. You get extension, turn the doorknob for a great finish. Let me frame this up for you. Remember the concept. What we're trying to do is reduce the range of motion, the radius of your swing, and develop quicker, faster, shorter muscle mechanics. Here comes the ball. I turn the shoulders. The great preparation. You want that left elbow up a little bit. You don't want that joint angle down here. You want that right elbow elevated. Remember what I said. You don't want it too high. That's going to take too long to get this accomplished. We're reducing the range of motion, and we're replacing it with quicker, faster muscle mechanics. So it's imperative, elbow up, elbow extension. After elbow extension, the racket goes into a position where the palm is somewhat down. The racket head is to the outside, the wrist is up. You want to get that elbow extension like you're tapping the dog on the head. You want to drive the leg and hip. That's going to cause the racket to flip. Power starts from the ground up. We always drive the legs, the hips turn. But because of where my racket's set, it causes the racket to flip. Boom. The name of the game is getting more racket head speed and being more efficient. When you start your forward swing, the elbow then passes by the trunk, and this is how you're going to get that all-important topspin. You're going to turn the doorknob, or you're going to wax on, wax off. Good luck. What I'm talking about is pure stroke mechanics, a more efficient way to hit the tennis ball to produce more racket head speed. Because let's face it, at the end of the day, that's what the game's all about. Can I get as much racket speed as possible and still be effective and efficient in keeping the ball on the court? Anybody can keep the ball on the court going like that, but can you get it in there with some juice on it 10, 15, 20 times in a row? That's the key. I'm not talking about footwork. I'm not talking about the mental part. Purely stroke mechanics.